On today's Minute Apes, if you were curious that they were in ape management, yes, they are. They say it at the top of this minute, but it's cut from the scene.
Take your sticking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
What is the divine found?
The only good human is a dead human! Where there is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. And I'm going to start today by saying to Richard, when we came up with the concept of, on today's Minute of the Apes, it was really just to give it a little more production value and do things. And I like when we can make jokes that have nothing to do with it, but you do a better job than either Sean or I do of actually teasing what the minute's going to be about. And I've noticed that as I assembled them to post them, and I've been meaning to tell you that.
You stay on message while we just tease what we were doing before the minute started.
Yeah. On today's meeting, I just got back from the bathroom. It was great.
Well, I mean, but you, and you, to be fair, you have your moments where you'll talk about, things that you're doing when you're drinking water, but you always somehow find a way to bring it back. So,
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that about you.
So to the point, yes, this is ape management. We wondered that if they were reusing the same set, if they were this. Now, the set may not be the original ape management, but they were supposed to mention at the top of this minute that it was ape management. It just got cut from the scene.
Okay. Well, I mean, because we're so on point with this, let's go ahead and listen.
All right.
Sean, tell us what's going on, minute 47.
We start minute 47 with a plea for the bloody chain reaction to stop and ends with Lisa asking about humans and apes in peace.
All right, here we come. Minute 47, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Governor, somewhere along the line of history, this bloody chain reaction has got to stop. A destroys B, B destroys C, C destroys A and is destroyed by D, who destroys E. Before anyone knows where they are, there won't be anyone left to know anything anywhere.
Governor, the captain has come back.
We found it, Governor. We found Ape City. Where? This is a guerrilla outpost. Below is a valley with orchards and vineyards. Enough to feed hundreds. Here is Ape City.
Was it very large?
It is of a size we can deal with, sir.
Were you seen?
No, sir. Caesar was too busy with a council of war. One day soon they'll be coming for us.
No, we're going after them. Now, Captain, you have your orders.
Caesar, on the night of the fires, you swore an oath that in the future, apes and humans would live together in kindness and peace. Why are you now making...
As in minute 47, we have a village worth of apes and humans plus a ghost city worth of radioactive people.
Well, what no one could see was the head dance of what the F are they talking about?
Well, that's what I was going to make that
doing.
joke. I was going to say A destroys B, destroys C, which destroys E, well, what the F? I was going to go to F because they left that letter out.
That's exactly what I thought, too. So, but while the moment's playing, Richard and I were both kind of bobbing our heads like, what? Where's this? Oh, yeah.
And I was going with all right, so maybe A and B are humans and apes, and C could maybe be human sympathizers, but what is D? Is it like the Russians, or, we're breaking down...
I mean, usually when you do that kind of interplay back and forth, you usually put about 3 parties,
yeah,
right?
but when you're going to...
A, B, and C, and all of a sudden he's got like extra letters in there. Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask from a script standpoint.
Right.
This moment between Mendez and Culp,
right?
Did it come from earlier in the script, or is it in the script at this point? The reason I ask is it is the exact same setup and stance that we saw them have a conversation probably about 10 minutes ago in the film.
It comes directly after the guerrilla storm out of the council room.
Okay.
However, the scene with Lisa and Caesar is actually 5 pages later in the script.
Okay.
So they do make a jump there. And it kind of makes a little more sense. We can talk about that tomorrow when Caesar kind of goes to his little kind of, downward spiral of what we're dealing with.
So to that point, I have zero problem if you pick up an additional scene in the same setup, but usually what you do, so supposing then that when they shot that previous one, they went, oh, we have another one between Mendez and Culp that can take place here, let's just shoot that, and they picked it up in the same place, you at least change their stance. But if I'd have to go find the exact minute, and I looked at it, it was like they shot this on the very same moment.
Sure.
It's just, I hate to be jerky, but it is so lazy to do that. I just wish they had changed a bit with that.
Fair, but it is supposed to cut. Culp is supposed to say, "This is once ape management in a sense. It was the heart of our city, for it was from here that we made all apes bend to our will." Culp touches a destroyed electronic panel, but then the apes rose up and destroyed it all. Now reverse that, will destroy them. Then Mendez jumps in with the line we actually heard: "Governor, somewhere along the line of history, this bloody chain reaction has got to stop." What the F?
I mean, what chain reaction? It's been a decade of peace. Last we heard, the chain reaction stopped whenever everybody blew themselves up.
Right. What was it? Was it 12 years of something, or 15 years, or 11 years, or
peace?
something?
Yeah. So what? I think it's over.
Culp says the star of our city isn't dead, and we shall live to see it rise again. Mendez is supposed to say at whose expense this time? You know, there's I really, they wanted to potentially put this Mendez as the start of the lineage of them being the mutants, but this gentleman who is calling for advocating so much peace doesn't make me think of Emperor Mendez that becomes part of this dynasty that we see in, Beneath.
Right.
So that's why this is kind of weird. I love that they called him Mendez. I love that there's the potential for this to build upon something, but right now this advocate for peace does not sound like the dynasty we see in the battle or Beneath.
Then at least that story being told how you could go from a peacemonger to a warmonger would be an interesting thing. Maybe could be hit upon in comics, because you're right, it does not jive at this point, but there could be something that we've not seen, obviously, in that historical context that pushes to that. Once
he makes this plead for peace, we then have Alma coming in, basically leading the captain, right? Captain, we found it, Governor. And then the captain begins to talk about, how lush this area is. If anything, I wish this were more descriptive. The Gorilla City outpost below is the valley planted with orchards and vineyards and an orange grove and young banana palms, enough to feed hundreds. I don't know if you noticed this, but in the script it says enough to feed thousands. Mm-hmm. And if you notice, they obviously did not get that audio because they had him overlay the word hundreds right there. If you listen to it, you can. I mean, if you want to, let's play it back. No, if you listen to it closely, you can hear the fact that his vocal levels change for that one word, one of those two words right there. Like
this is right after Amelie's.
Like feed thousands, enough feed hundreds is what he says.
I've got it queued up from the moment she starts running in. So
the captain has come back.
We found it, Governor. We found Ape City.
Where?
This is a guerrilla outpost. Below is a valley with orchards and vineyards, enough to feed hundreds. Here is Ape City.
Was it very loud?
It changes right there.
Yeah, and if you watch it, I was watching his lips too, and it doesn't sync.
Yeah, so I don't know why they had to go. Maybe they just didn't get the audio. But the script changes thousands to hundreds, and I don't know if they really wanted to go. That really seems particular. If they wanted to change it from thousands to hundreds and had to go back in and do that, it just sounds like he didn't get the line right. That he stumbled or stuttered, and they just wanted to clarify more than anything else.
So a lot of my need in this moment comes from that. Let's go back to what they observed when they were going up and down the hill in that weird sequence. Yeah, they panned across and they saw people working the fields.
Yeah,
and
they saw the council meeting.
Yeah, and what he's saying, they didn't give me visual elements of food. They should have had somebody carrying food.
We haven't really seen that in the movie at all. Yeah, we've seen people working in a field, hoeing a field,
and
but we haven't seen orchards and vineyards. Yeah,
the vineyard I found kind of like, really? But then again, if you ever go back to the truth of why we have alcohol, it was to clean the water so you could drink it, and I'm cool with that. But we didn't see anything to support it.
And that scene that was supposed to happen between the scene that did happen when McDonald's in the Caesar's house with Lisa and the servant that leaves. Remember, they're supposed to be getting drunk off of wine.
Oh yeah,
and
that's right.
They didn't. They kind of cut that element that's why Caesar was being kind of ridiculous at the moment. McDonald's was being ridiculous going back and forth because they're supposed to be a little bit drunk. So I think they're just kind of feeding into that. They didn't use it.
Is that moment cut because it's a kids movie?
That's what I was thinking.
We can use the word vineyard because most children are not going to go vineyard. I know what that means.
Maybe. But I really would have liked the something amazing about the fact that they're. like a little more dialogue about how they're trapped into the city. They have no rations. They have
Right.
nothing, whatever. And here's this golden place.
Well, this all goes back to how many times have we asked for more about the mutants? Let us see their bodies being irradiated. Let us see the struggle, and let us hear that there's no food prior to this. Then I think in this moment, what I actually felt like, there should be a couple of people around that hear it and are looking like, oh my God.
Setting
you know?
down their canned ration of
Yeah.
whatever with their spoon.
Their horrible rotten spam or something.
I mean, that's to me more motivation for the army
Yeah.
to rise than just Culp's madness to want to go out there and destroy.
'Cause he's bored,
They
yeah.
want to take it. They want to take it because it's got these amazing things.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of left off the table.
Can we talk about again the troubling timeline with this? So Ape City's 3 days away. So this guy has done a 6-day turnaround, and all these people have just been sitting in this room waiting 6 days for him to come running in with where everything is.
That is true.
And he comes in fresh as a daisy from having traveled 6 days nonstop.
You know,
it would be nice if he took some water because he's famished.
I
you
kind
know,
of wonder
whatever.
if the distance
Parched.
the distance is primarily to kind of explain why radiation hasn't affected this area.
Or why
It
they're not
is.
interacting with each other. But you got to remember these last 20 minutes have taken place over 9 days, because it's 3 days to get there. They explore for a little bit, then they leave, go 3 days back with a group following them, so that's 6 days, and then that group has to come back, so that's 9 days. So this whole thing has been more than a week, and these guys have been
Okay.
All right, what's going on?
This is where I get to be film nerd. Have you ever heard of the film The Battleship Potemkin?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd never seen it. Even in film school, we didn't see it because those kind of films weren't available. The Criterion Channel, which is now Criterion Collection, has a Netflix type channel you can stream, and they put it on there. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this film that everybody says created a lot of film language. These type of things where you talk about how to visually build it. If you ever watch this,
Fade between things.
well,
Yeah.
well, he constructs moments where you just see people walking, and it puts at that time they said people walked out because they're like, why am I seeing people walk? But now the film language is, I saw people walk, and when I went to the next scene, time had passed. All you have to do is build in a few of these moments, and I'm about to really bitch about one that it's like, oh my God, I realize you're on a schedule, but this is not how you assemble a film. And when you have these moments, let's bring him in looking beat up. Let's bring he needs to be thirsty. He
Yeah.
needs something so that his journey has weight.
And it would also make the orchard and the bananas and this
Have
even
more
more
weight, yeah.
appealing to him because he is
Wants
he
to
is
get back there,
hungry,
yeah.
he is
Right.
tired, he is thirsty, he's all these things.
Or why didn't he? Why, let's build them a subplot and let them go down and steal a banana and take it back with them. Don't eat that. Show it, prove it, have something for them. There's all kinds of way they could have built this to go to Sean's thing where you've got time. It's a 6-day journey. Let's build that in. Let's make
you do the
purpose.
thing where you find out Culp and Alma are having a relationship and they're off in their quarters, and then somebody comes in, he's back, and then that's when you cut.
Sure.
Instead of everybody happens to be sitting around when the guy shows up, it's the trope of I turn on the TV and it's the exact news article that's relevant to my plot that's going on right now.
Right.
The thing that the captain then feeds to Culp, which is necessary for Culp's continuing actions on this path. Caesar was too busy holding a council of war. One day soon they'll be coming for us. What I find interesting about that particular line, not only does it give Culp motivation to kind of continue on his path,
Right.
that they're going to come for us, that there's a council of war, this kind of stuff, is that those lines that Caesar was talking about were actually cut from most of his dialogue. That kind of back and forth that he and Aldo have about what they need to prepare for was not in the scene before. So the captain is inferring that that's what the council is doing, right?
Yes.
Rather than actually having heard that dialogue, because we didn't hear that dialogue.
And we should have. Okay, so we didn't hear that dialogue.
No.
Therefore, he did not hear that dialogue. And had they put it together, would we have had them actually overhearing? Let's get that kind of. We need to get closer to hear what they're saying, and therefore only hear the part about war. You're not hearing the other part, and that works. But we didn't hear any of that. So for him to jump to this assumption, I was like, "What? You don't know this?" And
I mean, why would the apes be coming to war with the humans? They've had jack shit to do with you for 10 years. Your situation is a piece of crap. Why? I mean, that's just punching down at that point.
And you can make this guy could have not really heard it, but Culp begins to manipulate what he's saying. No, I think that what you heard was he could do this because he wants war, but we don't even have that. It's an assumption of a jump to.
So So Lisa talking to Caesar, talking about humans and apes and peace, that's all from the theatrical cut, right? Because